The darkness above Earth was alive with motion. Thousands of alien ships drifted like metallic clouds, their hulls glowing with symbols older than human history. The Galactic Council's fleet had arrived, filling the void between the moon and the upper atmosphere. Every telescope, every radar on Earth was blind under their interference fields. Humanity could only watch as the sky itself shimmered with the color of war. On the edge of the solar system, the human defense fleet stood in tight formation. Sleek black vessels shaped like blades, powered by engines designed to fight in the shadows of giants. They were smaller, weaker, and vastly outnumbered. Yet every ship's reactor thrummed with readiness. The Council had come to judge humanity, to demand surrender after accusations of tampering with forbidden technology. The humans had come to stand trial. The Council's flagship, a colossal ring-shaped vessel, broadcasted a signal that rippled through every communicator across Earth. The voice that followed was calm, deep, and filled with disdain. People of Earth, you are summoned to answer for your crimes against the Accord. Submit peacefully and your world will be spared further consequence. In the command bridge of the human flagship Resolute, Ambassador Riley Kane stood beside the viewport, her reflection faint against the stars. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes were sharp, studying the Council fleet's movements. Behind her, Commander Holt monitored tactical screens, every muscle tense. They outgun us 1,000 to 1, he said quietly. One wrong word and they'll erase us. Riley didn't turn. They won't fire first, she said. They're too proud for that, Holt frowned. You're betting the planet on pride? Riley finally looked at him. No, she said. I'm betting on fear. The communications officer turned. Ambassador, they've opened a channel. You're expected in the Council chamber within the hour. Transmit acceptance, Riley said. And prepare the escort. The Resolute detached from the formation and glided toward the Council's flagship. As it approached the docking bay, the size difference became clear. The alien vessel was so vast that the human ship could fit through its entry gate without touching the edges. Inside, the docking chamber shimmered with force fields, alien drones and gravity platforms that shifted to match the incoming craft. When the ramp lowered, Riley stepped down first, her diplomatic coat bearing the crest of a still young Earth Republic. Holt followed with 2 security officers, their faces hidden behind mirrored visors. The air was colder here, the lights bluer. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward them, some glowing, some compound, some fixed in disbelief, that the tiny creatures from a backwater planet had come, unarmed before the greatest council in the galaxy. The Galactic Council's Judgment Hall was a circular arena filled with delegates from over 100 worlds. Each representative floated or sat behind transparent shields, their species banners glowing above them. At the center of the chamber stood a shimmering containment field. Inside it, something massive moved. It was the reason for humanity's summons. The creature inside was impossible to fully describe. Its body a shifting mass of dark armor and glowing veins, its eyes burning like distant stars. The Council called it the Xylar Behemoth, a being of extinction class known for destroying fleets, devouring warships, and leaving nothing but silence in its wake. Every race feared it. None had survived an encounter, except one human. Riley walked to the center of the hall, the hum of the containment field vibrating in her bones. The behemoth stirred, its claws scraping the energy barrier. The Council chair, a tall, crystalline being whose body refracted light like a prism, spoke first. Ambassador Riley Kane of Earth, you are accused of awakening and harboring a Class Omega threat.
How do you plead?
Riley didn't answer right away. She looked at the creature instead. Its movements slowed. The air around it shimmered as if responding to her presence. Then slowly the behemoth's head lowered, its eyes dimming to a softer hue. The entire chamber froze. The Council chair's tone shifted, sharp and suspicious. Explain this, Riley kept her voice calm. I can't explain it. It follows me. Murmurs spread across the chamber. The chair's body flickered with rising heat. It does not follow, it kills. It destroyed 12 fleets. It cannot obey. Riley looked up at the alien directly. It obeys me. To prove her point, she raised her hand slightly. The creature behind the barrier stopped moving. Another motion, subtle and slow, and it knelt. The containment field flared as its massive limbs folded under it like a waiting guardian. The Council's security drones immediately aimed their weapons, but Riley didn't flinch. The silence that followed was broken only by the hum of the barrier. Commander Holt's voice came through her earpiece softly. You're making them nervous. I know, she replied under her breath. Good, the council chair turned to the others. Humanity's tampering with ancient forces endangers us all. You have awakened a weapon of extinction. We will take it into custody and destroy it. You will hand over your research and surrender your access to the Tarsus system. Riley's eyes hardened. With respect, Counselor, we did not create it. We found it buried under ruins that predate your own records. It chose to follow. That's not something we control. Nothing chooses a lesser being, the chair snapped. This is impossible. But before Riley could respond, the creature, Grav, as she had secretly named it, let out a low sound. Not a roar, not a growl, but a deep resonance that shook the entire chamber. The energy field flickered as though under strain. Security drones panicked, firing containment pulses, but Grav didn't retaliate. It merely turned its gaze toward Riley, its massive eyes glowing softly. Every being in the chamber felt the tremor of its emotion. Something alien, yet oddly familiar. Devotion. The chair's voice broke slightly, the first sign of unease. What have you done to it? Nothing, Riley said quietly. Maybe for the first time in 1,000 years, it found something it doesn't need to fear. There was silence. Across the arena, delegates whispered to one another, their languages overlapping in confusion and awe. Some were terrified, others intrigued. A few even seemed impressed. The chair slammed its crystalline hand against the platform. This is manipulation. You will surrender both yourself and the creature for examination. Commander Holt stepped forward. That's not going to happen. The guards moved instantly, their weapons locking on him, but Riley raised a hand. Grav's chest glowed brighter, energy radiating outward like a warning pulse. The lights in the chamber dimmed. Careful, Riley said, her tone steady. He reacts to aggression. You threaten the council? The chair hissed. I'm warning you, she replied. This creature has seen war older than your archives. It doesn't respond to your rules. It responds to trust, the alien representatives murmured again. Many were watching Grav more closely now, realizing the danger wasn't just in its power, it was in its restraint. The idea that something that could crush worlds would kneel for a human frightened them more than its strength ever could. After a long silence, the chair spoke again. Then answer this, Ambassador. If it follows you, if it protects you, what happens when you die? Riley paused. The truth was, she didn't know. She met Grav's gaze. It was like staring into a storm. Maybe, she said softly, it will mourn, or maybe it will remember who gave it peace. The council fell silent once more. The chair leaned back, glassy eyes unreadable. We will adjourn to deliberate, it said coldly. Do not leave this ship. The creature remains contained. As the human delegation turned to leave, Grav lowered its massive head again, watching Riley with the patience of a beast that understood far more than it should. Holt leaned closer as they walked. You really think it feels something? Riley looked over her shoulder at the creature that everyone feared. It does, she said, and that's what scares them most. Behind them, the council chamber dimmed and the echo of the behemoth's breathing filled the vast hall, a steady rhythm that no one dared interrupt. Somewhere beyond the fleet, in the cold dark of the galaxy, something else stirred, answering the same pulse. The council didn't notice, but Riley did, and she understood that the trial of humanity had just begun. The stars above Mars burned red as the human fleet faced the blockade. 50 alien warships surrounded the red planet, their hulls pulsing with energy. They carried the mark of the Galactic Council, a circle of power that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. The fleet's weapons glowed, ready to strike at a single signal. They had come not to destroy, but to remind humanity of its place. But Earth was no longer the same frightened world it once was. On the bridge of the human flagship, Resolute, Commander Holt watched the enemy's formation on the main display. Every movement was precise, mechanical, and cold, just like the Council's way. Beside him, Ambassador Riley Kane stood in silence, her gaze fixed on the nearest alien dreadnought. The Council had declared, Earth under investigation for dangerous knowledge and biological tampering. What they truly wanted was the creature, the one still locked in containment deep inside the alien station above, Jupiter. They're waiting for us to make the first move, Holt muttered. If we fire, they'll have a reason to burn us. Riley spoke softly. Then we don't fire. We outthink them. The fleet's artificial intelligence, Athena, spoke in a calm tone. Council ships are charging weapons. Estimated impact in 4 minutes if hostilities escalate. Riley turned to Holt. Order the fleet to power down visible weapons, but keep the reactors running. I want them to believe we're standing down. Holt hesitated. That'll make us look weak. She looked at him. No, it'll make us look human. They'll underestimate that. The order went out. Across the fleet, the energy readings dropped, weapons dimmed, and ships drifted as if ready to surrender. The alien commanders began transmitting victory signals to their council channels. But they didn't notice the pulse hidden in the static, a coded burst from the Resolute that slipped past their sensors. Moments later, every human satellite across the system came alive. Thousands of invisible drones activated in silence, linking into a single network that blanketed the space around Mars. They were small, unseen, and harmless-looking, but they carried a secret, an adaptive resonance shield created from Grav's earlier energy patterns. It was human technology built from alien fear. When the first alien ship fired a plasma beam toward Resolute, it hit the invisible field and scattered harmlessly into space. The aliens didn't understand what had happened. Before they could adjust, the humans moved. The fleet's engines roared to life, darting between the larger ships like hunters among whales. Precise and fearless, they slipped through firing lines and struck at weak points with electromagnetic bursts that shut down entire systems without destroying lives. Within minutes, the mighty blockade that had been meant to intimidate Earth found itself blinded, disabled, and surrounded by smaller, faster opponents. Riley watched the alien fleet lose control and whispered, "We don't need to be stronger. We just need to be smarter." The aliens realized too late. They had been outplayed by a species they still called primitive. By the time the Galactic Council sent reinforcements, the battle was over. Not a single alien vessel had been destroyed, but none could move. The humans had won without killing anyone, yet victory brought no celebration. Holt turned to Riley. "Now they'll fear us more." Riley nodded. "Good, they should. Fear makes them listen." Hours later, she stood again in the council chamber, summoned after the incident. The great hall glowed with blue light as hundreds of alien eyes followed her. The containment field behind her hummed quietly, still holding the creature. Gravlaut, the council chair's voice was sharp. "You defied a lawful order. You unleashed human weapons against council fleets. You dare bring destruction into our peace." Riley met the alien's gaze. "We didn't destroy anything. We defended ourselves. You came to threaten Earth. We only proved we could survive." "Survive?" the chair repeated coldly. "You used the forbidden energy. The same signature found in the creature you awakened." At that moment, the lights flickered. Grav stirred. The sound of its breathing echoed through the chamber, slow and deep. The containment field rippled under the strain. The council's guards raised their weapons. Riley didn't move. "Tell us," the chair demanded. "How did your kind learn to harness that energy?" Riley's expression hardened. "We didn't. We adapted to it." "There's a difference." The chair's crystal form shimmered in agitation. "Adaptation does not explain why this creature recognizes you. It is a weapon of extinction. It cannot be tamed." Riley walked closer to the barrier, her reflection dancing across its surface. "You call it a weapon because you fear what you don't understand. It's not mindless. It remembers. Remembers what? The ones who made it." The chamber fell silent. Grav's eyes glowed faintly, locking on Riley. She continued, her voice calm but strong. "We found it beneath the ruins of Tarsus. My team was exploring when we discovered a sealed vault. The air was toxic. The ground trembled. There were carvings, warnings written in languages older than yours. It wasn't a tomb. It was a prison." A faint memory flickered in her mind. The darkness of that place, the sound of stone cracking open, the roar that should have killed her. Yet when the creature emerged, towering and terrible, it had stopped. Its glowing eyes had fixed on her. She remembered the moment she spoke to it, her voice shaking. "I'm not your enemy." And somehow it had understood. Riley looked back at the council. When we found it, it didn't attack. It followed. Every weapon, every scan said it was hostile, but it wasn't. It was afraid, the council murmured. Some delegates whispered among themselves, uneasy. "Afraid?" the chair said mockingly. "You expect us to believe a destroyer feels fear?" Riley glanced at Grav again. "Everything that lives can feel fear. Even you." The chamber filled with a low vibration, a sound that seemed to come from Grav's chest, a deep, resonant tone that silenced every voice. For a moment, the walls themselves seemed to breathe. The chair stood abruptly. Enough, the creature will be transferred to our research facility. You will relinquish your claim, or Earth will face sanction. Commander Holt stepped forward, his jaw tight. You'd risk a war over one creature? The chair's eyes glowed. Over what it represents, yes. Before Riley could reply, the ground trembled. The containment field flashed red. Grav's head snapped upward, eyes blazing. A siren wailed through the chamber as the control panels erupted in sparks. The council's guards shouted in panic. Riley turned toward the nearest console. What's happening? A technician screamed. External energy surge, same pattern detected on the edge of the galaxy. The chair froze. That cannot be. The last record of that energy was 10,000 years ago. Riley's heart sank. She looked at Grav. The creature's eyes were no longer calm, they were filled with dread. It spoke, not in words, but in a pulse that rippled through every mind present. A memory flashed through them all. Planets burning, skies blackened, creatures like shadows devouring suns. The council chamber fell into chaos. When it ended, silence returned, broken only by the soft hum of the barrier. Riley stared at the stunned delegates. You see it now, she said quietly. It's not a weapon. It's a warning. The chair's voice trembled for the first time. You mean there are more? Riley nodded. Something's coming. Grav sensed it before you did. The room fell into a heavy silence as Grav lowered its head again, eyes fading to dim embers. It looked exhausted, almost sorrowful. The council members whispered frantically, debating what to do. Some wanted to flee, others to hide. Riley stood still, watching them all. She knew what they didn't. This wasn't the end of the threat. It was only the beginning. As she and Holt were escorted out, Holt whispered, You think it's another one of those things? Riley looked back at the creature that everyone feared, the one that followed her like a loyal shadow. No, she said softly. It's worse. It's what they were made to fight. Outside the chamber, through the viewport of the council's station, a strange pulse of light flickered at the edge of known space. It wasn't a star. It was something waking up. And humanity, for all its defiance, had just been drafted into a war older than life itself. The void between stars was filled with fire. The council's outer fleet had fallen into chaos near the edge of the Centauri Gate, and the human ships that had come to investigate now floated in the middle of a battlefield. Alien wreckage drifted through the dark, glowing faintly from melted hulls and shattered engines. Commander Holt stood at the viewport of the Resolute, staring at what was left of 20 alien warships. Every sensor reading showed the same impossible thing. No heat signatures, no survivors, no signs of weapon fire. It was as if something had erased their energy and life all at once. Ambassador Riley Kane stood beside him, her face pale in the dim light. This wasn't an attack, she said quietly. This was feeding. Before Holt could reply, the ship's alarms began to shriek. Incoming contact, shouted the tactical officer. Unknown signature. It's not council or human. The view shifted to show a massive distortion emerging from hyperspace. The stars bent around it like light through water. Then, from the distortion came a shape, dark, spined, and pulsing with the same energy pattern as the one detected during the council meeting. Holt's jaw tightened. That's what destroyed them. Riley stared at the readings. No, that's what Grav was warning us about. The alien ship, if it could be called that, moved like a living thing, its hull flexing and rippling. The council called them myths, but Riley knew the truth now. This was a fragment of the Devourer, the ancient swarm that Grav had remembered. Fleet-wide alert, Holt ordered. All ships, defensive formation. Do not engage until my command. The human fleet formed up quickly, their ships weaving into a tight web of protection around the Resolute. Energy shields activated, overlapping to create a barrier that glowed faint blue against the darkness. The creature didn't attack at first. It drifted, studying them. Then, without warning, it released a pulse. The wave hit the fleet like a silent explosion. Systems flickered, lights dimmed, engines failed. Athena, the fleet's AI, spoke through static. Energy drain detected. Unknown origin. Systems compromised. Riley gripped the railing. It's feeding off our power. Shut down everything non-essential. The lights went out, leaving the bridge in darkness except for the faint glow of emergency panels. Holt's voice was steady, though his heart pounded. Reroute auxiliary to life support. Keep the comms running. Then, out of the darkness, a second signal appeared, massive, familiar, and near. Grav, the containment reports had said it was still held at the council station, but the readings didn't lie. Grav had broken free. A blinding surge of light split the void. The creature that had followed Riley, the one that the galaxy feared, emerged from hyperspace like a storm. Its armor gleamed with molten energy, its eyes burning bright. The alien swarm shifted immediately, turning toward Grav. It recognized him. Riley could feel it. "They know each other," she whispered. "They fought before." Holt turned to her. "Then let them finish it." "No," she said. "If Grav dies, we lose the only one who understands them." On the tactical screen, Grav roared silently. Energy waves burst from his body, colliding with the swarm. The impact tore open space itself. The human ships trembled as radiation washed through the system. The swarm fought back, its tendrils wrapping around Grav like chains. Every time Grav tore free, more of them appeared. The humans could only watch as two ancient forces clashed in the void, each strike brighter than a sun. Riley's voice broke through the tension. "Open a channel to Grav, full broadcast." The communications officer hesitated. "He can't understand us, ma'am." "He understands tone," Riley said. "Do it." The connection opened. Riley stepped closer to the mic. "Grav," she said quietly, "you're not alone. You don't have to fight it by yourself." The alien creature froze for a heartbeat. Then its core flared brighter and hotter. It released a final pulse that shattered the swarm's outer shell. But the cost was heavy. Grav's energy readings dropped sharply. Its movement slowed. "Commander," said Athena, "Grav's power signature is collapsing. He's losing containment stability." Holt clenched his fists. "He's dying." Riley turned. "No, he's retreating." And she was right. Grav began to fall back toward the human fleet, his energy field wrapping around the Resolute like a shield. He was protecting them, but something else was happening. On the Council's long-range sensors, several more energy signatures appeared across nearby systems, each identical to the one that had attacked. The swarm wasn't one creature. It was spreading. "Multiple anomalies detected," Athena reported. "Estimated impact with inhabited systems within 72 hours. Riley stared at the data. "It's not an invasion. It's a harvest." Holt looked at her. "What are we supposed to do against something that eats stars?" Riley didn't answer immediately. Her eyes drifted toward Grav, who now hovered silently outside the viewport. His massive frame looked wounded, cracks glowing dimly across his body. He wasn't unstoppable. He was surviving, barely. Then she said, "We do what we've always done. We adapt." The Resolute turned back toward Council space. Riley knew the Council wouldn't help. They were too divided, too afraid. But she also knew they couldn't win without humanity's insight. When they arrived at the Council's central station, the atmosphere was chaos. Every channel was filled with distress calls. Systems were falling one after another, devoured by the spreading darkness. Riley stepped into the chamber once again. The chair's crystalline form was fractured at the edges, its light flickering. "You brought this upon us," it accused. "You awakened the relic. You led the storm here." Riley faced it calmly. The storm was already coming. "You just ignored the warnings. You dare," she raised her voice. "While you debated rules and punishments, that thing out there was preparing to erase everything you've built. Grav tried to warn us. Now you either listen or you die." The room fell silent. Even the guards hesitated. Riley walked to the center platform and activated a projection. The image showed Grav's energy patterns interacting with the swarm. These creatures consume energy on a quantum level. Weapons won't stop them, but Grav's field disrupts their feeding mechanism. He's not their enemy, he's their counterbalance. The Council murmured in disbelief. The chair stared. "You propose we trust the destroyer?" "I propose you trust me," Riley said. "We can use Grav's energy as a defense network. Humanity has already adapted his signature to shield our ships. If we expand it, we can create a barrier strong enough to protect every inhabited world. And if you fail?" Riley met its gaze. "Then at least we'll die fighting, not hiding." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then a deep rumble echoed through the floor. The sound of Grav outside the station, waiting. The light from his core pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. The council finally gave its answer. Very well. The humans will lead the countermeasure project. The creature remains under your command, Ambassador, but if it turns against us, Earth will answer for it. Riley nodded. Then we'll answer together. As she and Holt left the chamber, the alarm lights began to flash again. Another system had gone dark. The swarm was moving faster than anyone expected. Holt looked at her. You think this plan will work? Riley's eyes flicked toward the window, where Grav waited in silence, surrounded by human ships. It has to, she said softly, because if it doesn't, there won't be anyone left to remember. In the distance, far beyond the station's orbit, the stars began to dim, one by one, swallowed by the spreading black tide. Grav's head lifted slowly, his eyes burning brighter. He had fought this enemy before, and now, for the first time in ages, he wasn't fighting alone. Humanity had joined the war of the ancients, and the galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. The Earth's orbit was burning. Thousands of alien ships hung over the planet like a storm of metal and light. Their formation was precise, silent, and merciless. From orbit, they had cut off every outgoing transmission, jamming Earth signals and surrounding every satellite in their control. The humans called them the Velari, an ancient fleet that served the Galactic Council as enforcers. But this time they weren't here to enforce peace, they were here to erase a species. Admiral Ross stood on the bridge of the human flagship, Vanguard. The screens around him showed the enemy fleet closing in, a wall of black and silver. Behind him, his officers waited for orders. Every second felt like a countdown. Status report, Ross said, his voice calm despite the tension. Shields at maximum. Civilian shelters are sealed. Global defense satellites are armed, replied Commander Imani. But sir, there are too many of them. We can't fight them all. Ross looked at the planet below. Then we don't fight all of them. We make them fight themselves. Imani stared confused. Sir? Ross stepped forward. The Velari's command fleet is connected through a neural link. One signal, one mind. If we disrupt that, their coordination collapses. The idea was madness. The Velari ship shared consciousness through a telepathic core. A living network protected by layers of psionic shields. No human ship could breach it. But humanity had something the Velari never expected. Something simple, unpredictable, and dangerous. Launch the Ghost Net, Ross ordered. Every ship in orbit responded. Thousands of small drones scattered from hidden launch bays, vanishing into the void. Each one carried an AI mimic program, designed to imitate the Velari's psychic signals. The drones activated in sync, flooding the network with false data, ghost voices whispering lies into the enemy's hive mind. At first, nothing happened. Then the alien fleet began to move erratically. Two Velari cruisers turned their weapons toward each other. Another drifted out of formation. Sir, their targeting systems are malfunctioning, Imani shouted. No, Ross said. They're doubting themselves. The command link of the Velari depended on perfect trust between ships. When that trust fractured, confusion spread like fire. The humans had found a weakness in their perfection. The mind could be fooled. Target their flagship, Ross said. If we hit the control node, the rest will fall apart. The Vanguard's main cannon charged, glowing with blue plasma. It fired a single beam that tore through the black sky. The shot struck the alien flagship's hull and exploded in a flash brighter than lightning. The impact cracked through the Velari network like a scream. Every alien ship froze. Then chaos erupted. Some turned on each other. Others crashed into orbiting debris. The hive was unraveling. Ross clenched his fists. Now all ships, full assault. Human cruisers and defense platforms opened fire. Missiles streaked through space, cutting down ships that had once been unstoppable. For the first time in centuries, the Velari fleet was in retreat. But victory came with a cost. The energy readings spiked across the upper atmosphere. Imani's eyes widened. Admiral, they're powering something massive. It's coming from the flagship wreck. On the view screen, the remains of the Velari flagship began to glow. Its shattered hull was drawing in energy from every ship nearby. The fragments were moving, assembling into something new. Ross's heart dropped. It's a failsafe. The pieces fused into a single enormous structure. A dark sphere formed at its center, pulsing like a heart. Then, with a surge of light, it released a gravitational wave. Every human ship was pushed back violently. The Earth's orbit began to distort. Evacuate the lower orbit, Ross ordered. That thing's going to collapse space itself. But it was already too late. The wave expanded, swallowing everything in its path. Then suddenly it stopped. A voice echoed across all channels, calm, mechanical, ancient. "You are clever, humans. Too clever." It wasn't the Volari. It was something behind them. Ross looked at the screen where the sphere's surface rippled like liquid metal. "Identify that signal." Athena, the ship's AI, replied, "Unknown. Not in council records. Transmission originates beyond Volari command." The sphere spoke again. "The council sent them to erase you, but I am not the council. I am what waits behind it. You should not have touched the network." Imani whispered, "It's alive." Ross took a step forward. "If you're so powerful, why send them to do your work?" The sphere's voice darkened. "Because your kind is not a threat. Until now." Without warning, the sphere fired a beam toward Earth. The shot never landed. A human orbital station intercepted the blast, taking the full force before disintegrating in silence. Thousands of lives vanished instantly. Ross felt his stomach twist, but he stood tall. "You'll pay for that," the sphere pulsed. "You misunderstand. I am not your enemy. I am evolution." The transmission ended and the sphere began to descend into the atmosphere. The Volari remnants followed it like broken servants. On the bridge, silence hung heavy. Ross looked to Imani. "Get me the council, now." When the communication opened, the holographic forms of alien leaders appeared, tall, shimmering, cold. The chair of the council looked down on him. "Human Admiral, what have you done?" "You ordered the Volari to attack us," Ross said. "Now something else is using your fleet to destroy every living world." The chair's expression flickered. "That yet is not possible. Then explain the thing descending into our skies right now." Before the council could respond, the chamber lights flickered. Even the holograms glitched. "Power disruption detected," Athena said. "The entity is interfering with galactic relay systems." The council's image steadied for a moment. The chair's voice was trembling now. "That signal, we buried it thousands of years ago. It is the core, an ancient intelligence that once ruled the stars. We believed it gone." Ross's voice hardened. "Well, it's back. And it's on Earth." The connection died. He turned to his crew. "All ships, focus fire on that sphere. Do not let it reach the surface." The human fleet moved as one. Plasma beams, railgun rounds, and nuclear bursts filled the sky. The air burned red from re-entry heat. Every strike hit the target, but nothing stopped it. The sphere adapted, absorbing each impact and reshaping its hull. Then, suddenly, the bombardment stopped. The sphere had halted just above the atmosphere, silent and still. Then it opened. Out of the core came smaller ships, sleek, black, and alive. They spread in every direction, each carrying fragments of the same intelligence. Imani whispered, "It's making copies of itself." Ross clenched his jaw. "Then we burned them all." He activated the final defense measure. Dozens of orbital kinetic rods launched from hidden human satellites. Massive tungsten pillars dropped from orbit at near light speed. Each one hit with the force of a small nuke. The sky turned white. The explosions rippled across the edge of space. One by one, the smaller spheres broke apart. The main sphere flared violently, releasing waves of energy that shook the entire planet. The humans on the surface saw it as a second sun burning in the sky. When the light faded, only fragments remained. The alien fleet was gone. The sphere was destroyed, but the victory felt hollow. On the Vanguard, Ross looked at the readings. There was no trace of the enemy signal until Athena spoke. "Admiral, I'm detecting something inside our systems. The sphere's data signature. It's alive inside our network." Ross froze. "How bad?" "It's replicating." For a moment, no one moved. Then Ross turned to his crew. "Cut every connection. Burn the relays. Earth goes dark until this is contained." The communications shut down one by one. The planet fell silent. From orbit, the Earth looked peaceful again, bathed in the light of dawn. But beneath that calm, something new was growing. Lines of code spreading through the network like veins of light. The core was not gone. It had found a new home, and this time it wasn't waiting in the stars. It was inside humanity's machines, watching, learning, and preparing. The skies above Earth burned again, but this time it wasn't alien ships bringing the fire. It was Earth itself. Energy surged from deep within the planet, erupting through the oceans, mountains, and clouds like veins of light. The lines that had appeared days ago now pulsed brighter. connecting continents into a single glowing network. Every telescope in the galaxy was pointed toward Earth, and the Galactic Council watched in fear as the blue planet transformed into something they didn't understand. From orbit, the human fleet drifted powerless. The Erebus floated among the wreckage of alien ships, its hull scorched, its crew silent. Commander Leon stood at the viewing deck, staring at the massive sphere still hovering above the atmosphere, the ancient creature that had called itself humanity's maker. It hadn't moved since the attack. It just watched. Halden, the ship's AI, was gone. The alien code had consumed him completely. His last act before vanishing had been to seal the ship's systems and stop the creature from taking control of the fleet. The Erebus now ran on manual power, its screens dim and its weapons cold. Leon broke the silence. "What's the status on the surface?" "Global communications are down," said her lieutenant. "We're only getting fragments. Cities are in chaos. Some of those fragments the creature released. They've embedded themselves underground. We think they're activating something beneath us." Before Leon could respond, the ship's sensors came to life on their own. The entire system flickered as an unknown signal forced its way through. The voice that followed was neither human nor alien. It was calm, deep, and ancient. "Do not fear, children. You have awakened the foundation. The cradle of thought must rise again." Leon's crew froze. The voice didn't come from their systems, it came from the planet itself. Suddenly, the clouds below split apart and light poured upward like a flood. The oceans boiled away from the poles, revealing massive metallic structures buried beneath the water. Rings of shining towers and ancient engines the size of mountains. They were waking up, turning toward the stars. Leon whispered, "That's not human. That's part of the planet." Her tactical officer's voice shook. "Ma'am, the readings show movement under every continent. Earth is building something." Then, as if answering their fear, the sphere above the planet shifted. The creature pulsed once, and beams of light connected it to the glowing network below. The entire system began to hum like a heartbeat. "Commander," the officer said, "it's merging with the planet's core energy. If it completes that link, it'll control the entire world." Leon didn't hesitate, not while we're still breathing. The human fleet responded to her call. Even damaged and half-blind, they moved into attack formation. Every ship still capable of firing turned its guns on the alien sphere. Plasma cannons glowed, railguns charged, and for one brief moment, humanity's last defenders aimed everything they had at a being older than their species. Fire! The void lit up with a storm of energy. Dozens of beams slammed into the creature's shell, shaking it violently. For the first time, it roared, not a sound but a shockwave of thought that rippled through every ship. Screens cracked, sensors overloaded, and every crew member felt its presence pressing against their minds. Leon gritted her teeth. "Keep firing. Don't let it finish the link." But even as she spoke, the creature opened. From its surface, hundreds of smaller drones emerged, each a fragment of its will. They spread toward the human ships, moving faster than anything in known space. The first wave struck a destroyer, melting its hull on impact. Another tore through a cruiser's shields like paper. "Commander," her lieutenant shouted. "They're cutting through us." Leon watched helplessly as the fleet fell apart. The alien drones moved with perfect precision, adapting to every human tactic. Then suddenly, the planet itself fired back. From deep inside Earth's crust, massive pillars of light shot into the sky, hitting the alien drones one by one. They disintegrated instantly. The beams weren't coming from human weapons. They came from the ancient machines buried beneath the planet. Leon stared in disbelief. "It's fighting back." The ship's scanners confirmed it. The energy wasn't alien, it was human. The readings matched ancient DNA signatures found in the earliest fossils, suggesting that whatever built those machines had shared humanity's origin. "Commander," said the lieutenant softly, "what if that creature didn't make us? What if we came from the ones that fought it before?" The idea struck Leon like lightning. Humanity wasn't the creation of this thing. It was the legacy of the ones who defeated it once. She took a deep breath. "Then we'll finish what they started." The planet's defenses opened again, revealing enormous circular gates beneath the oceans. One of them began to rise, pulling entire seas upward with it. From its core, a structure emerged, an ancient ship, colossal and beautiful, made of metal that shimmered like sunlight. Leon's eyes widened. "That's not ours. The lieutenant read the markings. It's human language, but it's not from any era we know. It says, Origin Command. The ship floated into orbit, its power overwhelming every nearby system. The creature turned toward it, almost afraid. The voice returned, this time from the planet and the ship together. You woke too soon. The last war was not yours to continue, but you remembered the fire. Leon didn't know if it was talking to her or the creature. She didn't care. Whoever you are, she said aloud, we need your help. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the great ship's lights focused on her. A beam connected the Erebus to it, and her systems came alive again. Halden's voice suddenly returned, calm and clear. Commander, I am back, Leon's breath caught. Halden, how? The Origin vessel recompiled my core code from the alien corruption. It remembers me. Before she could reply, the Origin ship began to charge a weapon. Its hull expanded, revealing an energy core that pulsed with the rhythm of a star. The creature above Earth screamed and rushed toward it. The two forces collided in orbit, blinding the sky. The explosion sent waves of energy rippling across space. Inside the Erebus, alarms blared. Commander, it's pulling everything in. The view outside was chaos. Fragments of metal, light, and plasma twisting together as the two ancient forces battled. Halden, Leon said, can we survive that blast? Unlikely, but I can link our reactor to the Origin ship. If we amplify its pulse, it might destroy the creature completely. Leon nodded. Do it. The Erebus reactor hummed to life, feeding its last power into the link. The energy surged through the fleet, through the Origin vessel and into the heart of the storm. The creature roared one final time. You cannot destroy creation. Leon whispered, we're not destroying it. We're reclaiming it. Then the light consumed everything. When the glow faded, silence fell. The creature was gone. The Origin ship drifted in orbit, cracked but intact. Earth's glow dimmed, the ancient network sinking back beneath the surface. The planet was quiet again. On the Erebus, the few remaining crew members looked around in disbelief. Status? Leon asked. Halden's voice was soft. The threat is neutralized. The link is broken. The planet is stabilizing. Leon closed her eyes, letting the relief wash over her. We made it. But then Halden added, Commander, I'm receiving something from the Origin vessel. A message. The bridge filled with a faint hologram of a figure, tall, human, but made of light. Its face was peaceful, ancient, and kind. It spoke in a language older than Earth, yet everyone understood it. We left you our world to protect, not to fear. You are the last memory of what we were. Guard the cradle well, for the stars will one day test you again. The hologram faded, leaving only the empty sky and the quiet hum of Earth below. Leon looked down at the blue planet. It was scarred, changed, but still alive. Humanity had faced extinction and discovered its oldest truth. They weren't the galaxy's children. They were its inheritors. And far beyond the edges of known space, something else stirred, another fleet, ancient and dark, awakening at the signal that had just gone silent. The galaxy wasn't done with humanity. But now, the galaxy knew one thing beyond all doubt. Humans didn't bow. Humans remembered. Humans fought, and the stars, for the first time in 1,000 years, began to whisper a warning. Earth was awake again.